Autopilot by ScarJo. Have you ever forgotten your phone? When did you realize you'd forgotten it? I'm guessing you didn't just smack your forehead and exclaim, darn, apropos of nothing. The realization probably didn't dawn on you spontaneously. More likely you reached for your phone, pawing open your pocket or handbag, and were momentarily confused by it not being there. Then you did a mental restep of the morning's events. In my case, my phone's alarm woke me up as normal, but I realized the battery was lower than I expected. It was a new phone and had this annoying habit of leaving applications running that drained the battery overnight. So I put it on to charge while I showered instead of into my bag like normal. It was a momentary slip from the routine, but that's all it took. Once in the shower, my brain got back into the routine it follows every morning, and that was it. Forgotten. It wasn't just me being clumsy, as I later researched. This was a recognized brain function. Your brain doesn't work on one level, it works on many. Like when you're walking somewhere, you think about your destination and avoiding hazards. But you don't need to think about keeping your legs moving properly. If you did, the entire world would turn into one massive hilarious quap cosplay. I wasn't thinking about regulating my breathing, I was thinking about whether I should grab coffee on the drive to work. I wasn't thinking about moving my breakfast through my intestines. I was wondering if I'd finish on time and pick up my daughter Emily from nursery after work or get stuck with another late fee. This is the thing. There's a level of your brain that deals with routine, so the rest of the brain can think about other things. Think about it. Think about your last commute. What do you actually remember? Little, if anything, probably. Do something often enough and it becomes routine. Keep doing it and it stops being processed by the thinking bit of your brain and gets regulated to the part of the brain dedicated to dealing with routine. Your brain keeps doing it without you thinking about it. Soon you think about your route to work as much as you do keeping your legs moving when you walk, as in not at all. Most people call it autopilot, but there's danger there. If you have a break in your routine, your ability to remember and account for the break is only as good as your ability to stop your brain going into routine mode. My ability to remember my phone being on the counter is only as reliable as my ability to stop my brain entering morning routine mode, which would dictate that my phone is actually in my bag. But I didn't stop my brain from entering routine mode. I got into the shower as normal, routine ended, exception forgotten, autopilot engaged. My brain was back in the routine. I showered, shaved, I gave Emily her breakfast and loaded her into the car. That was my routine. It didn't matter that my phone was on the counter charging silently. My brain was in the routine, and the routine phone was in my bag, autopilot engaged. I left for work. The steering wheel was burning hot to the touch when I sat down. I think I heard Emily shift behind my driver's seat to get out of the glare, but I got to work and attended my morning meeting. It was not until I took a quick coffee break and reached for my phone that the illusion shattered. I did a mental restep. I remember the dying battery. I remember putting it on to charge. I remember leaving it there. My phone was on the counter. Autopilot disengaged. And again, therein lies the danger. Unless you have that moment, the moment you reach for your phone and share the illusion, that part of the brain is still in routine mode. The day continued to bake. The morning haze gave way to the relentless fever heat of the afternoon. Thankfully, the offices were air-conditioned. But as of ever, the furnace of the day gave way to a cooler evening. Another day, another dollar. Still cursing myself for forgetting my phone, I drove home. The day's heat had baked the inside of the car, releasing a horrible smell from somewhere. When I arrived home on the driveway, my wife greeted me at the door. "Where's Emily?" Ah, no. As if the phone wasn't bad enough. After everything, I'd left Emily at the damn nursery. After all, I immediately sped back to the nursery. I got to the door and started practicing my excuses, wondering vainly if I could charm my way out of a late fee. I saw a piece of paper stuck on the door. Due to vandalism overnight, please use the side door. Today only. Overnight? What? The door was fine this morning. I froze. My knees shook. Vandals? A change in the routine? My phone was on the counter, but I hadn't been there this morning. My phone was on the counter. I'd driven past it because I was drinking my coffee. I hadn't dropped off Emily. My phone was on the counter. She'd moved her seat. I hadn't seen her in the mirror. My phone was on the counter. She'd fallen asleep out of the bad sun. She didn't speak when I drove past her nursery. My phone was on the counter. She changed the routine. My phone was on the counter. She changed the routine and I'd forgotten to drop her off. My phone was on the counter. 9 hours. That car. The baking sun. No air. No water. No power. No help. That heat. A steering wheel too hot to touch. That smell. I walked to the car door, numb, shock. I opened the door. My phone was on the counter and my daughter was dead. Autopilot disengaged.